Two, one. Hey everybody, if this worked, I should now be running a live video stream again. And I'm going to take a few moments here just to hang out and answer questions on the chat and talk a bit while I'm waiting for a few more people to show up, see how we do. Looks like we have 12 or 13 viewers right now, which is great. And I'm getting news saying that people are hearing me on the chat window. That's a good sign. That's what we're here for, I think. So I'll take some questions. I'll do the campaign postmortem. If I get really bored, I did bring my Haiku Cthulhu book. Just because you never can do enough Cthulhu poetry. Anyway, so just if you have any questions, type them into the chat window. Right now, I'm just taking kind of generic Kickstarter questions while I'm waiting to start the postmortem. So we're going to give it 2 or 3 minutes, okay? So see if I got anything down here. Do you know when the BP guide will be sent out, or are you still waiting for surveys? Hi, Judy. The guide will be sent out as soon as I finish that extra chapter. I started it this week. I've got a bit more work on that to do. Then I'm going to do one more, just kind of pass through, make sure Kickstarter hasn't changed anything on me in the last couple of weeks. They're always it's always a moving target, but that's the plan. So that should go out hopefully, I would say this weekend, maybe Monday, and then we'll get surveys going on some of the physical stuff. But I'm not going to need to. I won't need to wait to get you all an early copy while I'm also doing the surveys. So that way, those of you who just want to grab this PDF can start reading it, and then I'll get you the Mobi, the EPUB, stuff like that as we go. And I'm going to sneeze now on live camera, which is always awesome. Maybe. Excuse me. So, that's what you want on the internet forever, right? Sailing Master, thank you for the Kickstarter, and I have a writing Baltic question. Is that okay? Sailing Master, if you want to slip that in right now, it's the last time I can probably answer Baltic question until the end. But go ahead and throw it in there, and I'll answer it as quickly as I can, unless something else comes up. Yes, DJ, thank you. I did not spray my camera. I have my caffeine present if I need it. I have a box of sugar if I need it. Never can be too safe. I got my notebook. I'm all good to go. So, and again, it's 6:01. Just want to give a few more minutes here, and then we'll launch into that. So, launch into what we're here for. So right now, if you get a generic Kickstarter question, now's a good time to ask it, and I'll try to take questions at the end as well. Sailing Master, just go for it. The worst thing that happens is you get a little practice under your belt, and someone realizes that there needs to be more information out there for you guys to find, and we'll find a way to get it to you. But just go for it. Battletech's a huge universe. There's almost always a corner somewhere that if you violate continuity, we can help you find a place to tweak it into place along the way. So there you go. Lynn, I thought root beer was caffeine free. Not this one. It's one of the few that actually have caffeine, because this is my only way I can take caffeine, because I don't like coffee. I know, I'm a writer and I don't like coffee. I don't get it. And I'm ex-Navy. The Navy runs on coffee. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. When I look down here, I'm actually looking at the chat window to make sure I'm not missing anything. Not yet. Okay. So, all right, here we go. Officially, welcome to my second AMA for Pulse Publishing and for the Best Practices Guide, Crowdfunding Your Fiction. I am your host, Loren Coleman, and I will be doing I got some notes here to go over. I'll take some questions toward the end or along the way, and I know we've got at least one ringer out there in the audience who can ask the hard questions. If any of you guys fail to put me on the spot, I'm sure Dean will. And I might ask you some questions too, so don't be surprised if this becomes a reverse Q&A here, because part of doing a postmortem on big events for my company, for me, is to learn something about what you saw. What can I do better next time? And I definitely found some things I know I can do better, but the best judge of that really is going to be, you guys. So Lynn launching her first Kickstarter on Tuesday. Looking forward to this chat. Lynn, I can't wait to see what you put on Kickstarter. Looking forward to seeing the campaign. So if you guys haven't realized, I really enjoy Kickstarter. It's fun. I mean, it's like a nonstop bazaar, not bizarre, bazaar, like a nonstop marketplace. And I've always found stuff. I surf and buy stuff in all sorts of categories. I occasionally even buy stuff in the fashion category, even though that's not really my thing, but I just can't help myself. Design and tech is fun. Games are fun. And I back a lot of stuff in publishing. I have found a lot of things that I just wouldn't have discovered otherwise on Kickstarter. To me, it's like, like when I used to walk into the old Walden books or B. Dalton's and just go surfing the aisles looking for something new. Those opportunities are much more rare these days. So I really enjoy this. Hopefully you have too. So let me talk a bit about my expectations. In the best practices guide, I will talk a lot about expectations. You can't have a bad Kickstarter experience if you come at it with realistic or at least common sense expectations. Know why you are running your campaign. Have a good idea of what your personal platform is. You should know if you're a new writer or a writer with a decent following online. You know if you've got 9 people on your mailing list or 900 or 9,000. You have this reasonable expectation of what you can do. Kickstarter is good for any level. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Part of the reason why Kickstarter was invented was to bring a platform to people who may not already have a platform, may not have the resources. So Kickstarter is good for everybody, but have expectations. I have run small $1,000 campaigns. I have run a $2.6 million campaign. When I ran the best practices campaign, I was looking for a couple things. Mostly I was looking to learn what the market wanted, what the market was looking for out there, how much of a knowledge base was being sought, so to speak, which is why I made a $2 PDF and a $100 funding goal. It didn't matter to me if I had 50 people or 500. I was hoping for 500, but if I only had 50 people all come in and say, we need this information, and they got the guide and the market reports. I mean, if I saw even a larger than average purchase, that would tell me there's not enough information out there for everyone, that people are hungry for information. And instead I got a sampling of 479 people, which is awesome. It made this both educational and profitable, which is always a good goal for writers to be profitable. But I wanted to learn what people were looking for. I said right up front, I'm going to try to get you to pay as little as possible. There was a reason why I did that, because I didn't want people to feel like if I don't buy the $10, $15, $20 campaign, it's not worth it. Totally is. The $2 was the best $2 of the campaign, was your first $2, in my opinion. After that, if you needed more or wanted more, I am happy to deliver more. But I wanted to see what the level was. And the fact is, we ran about a $10 to $11 average per person over the course of the campaign, which tells me that there was a very big thirst for info. So that was one of the reasons I ran the campaign. And because I got that question answered, the campaign was already a success in my mind. The fact the campaign then became a commercial success. I mean, I spent quite a bit of time researching and writing this book. Did I want to, see my work get out there and get paid for some of my time? I'm a writer. Of course I wanted to get paid for my time. But again, it was more about educating and trying to help educate our field to bring more people to Kickstarter to make it better for all of us. So so that first goal met. Second goal, would I get 200 backers and $400 to $500, or 200 backers and a couple $1,000? My estimate when I was speaking to Dean, who's lurking on here, we thought this could do anywhere from $500 to $5,000, or maybe even higher. We just didn't know. We had a big wide range that we guesstimated. We hit it right at the upper 80% of what we were kind of like guessing was the top end of the market. So we did pretty good there. So that was, again, looking at what my expectations were and what the big wide range of commercial success could mean. I think that was a strength of the campaign. So I checked both those boxes off as really strong. In my postmortem, I checked those off as really strong indications that I hit what I was aiming at. So that was really good. See real quick. Everyone's just listening. Okay. So another question I would ask myself is why? Why did I check off both the education and the profitability box? I had a good platform. I also thought I had a good idea that people were going to want to have access to. And then I had another ringer, which I had a couple people out there, including Dean Wesley Smith of WMG Publishing, who devoted a big part of his personal platform to helping me make this a success, because he also believes that if the more we make the publishing category a success, the better it is for everyone, not just for us, not just for you, but all writers. So Dean's a big believer in this campaign's philosophy. So he put some of his platform on the line for me and helped push it. And that was extremely helpful. So I actually had two platforms I could pull from, and that helped a lot. So I know a lot of you came from the Teachables course that Dean's been running over there, and as well as some of his other workshops he's done. So that was a big plus. That's why I knew that coming in that I had that in my back pocket. So that was good. A weakness of some weaknesses from the campaign. Excuse me. Well, a weakness of the campaign right up front. Dean and I talked about this. It's a nonfiction book, and publishing is a little light right now. It's about middle of the pack on Kickstarter popularity, and nonfiction is a very small part of that. Some of the nonfiction books go in there and blow out big, but usually they're pop culture related. Most of the nonfiction is very low, and the reason why is that also nonfiction makes me more limited, I think, than normal on stretch goals, rewards, add-ons. I run a fiction Kickstarter. I can put any of a dozen novels up there as an add-on. Hey, glad you like my collection. Here's an anthology. Here's a trilogy. Here's a novel, and that helps me find people that want to get a deal and get. Hey, I want 5 books for the price of 3. Great, no problem. But for this one, it didn't feel right. It wasn't about me and my fiction career. It was about trying to build this market. So I was limited to how much I could do from an add-ons or stretch goal, so to speak. So that was a weakness, and I never really found a way to get around that. That was simply going to be a weakness of the campaign that I was going to have to deal with. And I did that by trying to get creative with my stretch goals. I think some of you saw along the way. I haven't asked you guys, hey, what do you want? What would help you? Tell me what would help you, and I will find a way to answer that. And some of you did do that, and I appreciate it. But that was a weakness of the campaign I didn't quite get over. Another weakness was I did ask for some feedback and didn't get as much as I had hoped I would get. Part of that is I don't have the biggest nonfiction platform. So, we had, at one point, 479, we maxed out at 479 backers. And there was probably anywhere from 10 to 15 of you commenting in my comment threads and update threads, which is fine. But I was hoping for a bit more interaction. So I would say while that didn't materialize, I don't necessarily call that a failure. It tells me I need to find, if I want to have more interaction in my campaigns, I need to find a better way to do it. Now, the best interaction I've had in my campaign is right here on running these little streaming videos. The first one I did had 17, 18 people, I think, maxed out. We're currently at 15. So while it's not quite, there's not a lot of give and take here because I have to basically look at the chat window to find out what you guys are saying. At least it lets me know I'm getting some feedback and people are asking questions and making comments. So I keep looking there to make sure I'm not missing anything. So that's why, so if I want more interaction, I need to find a way to design the campaign to bring the interaction to the foreground. So while that may have been a weakness on this one, I'm going to keep going for this because I think sometimes that interaction is really helpful. So that was my first ideas of strengths and weaknesses. And then I always get to, here's Dean, another very weak area in fiction campaigns is a focus on audio. Yeah, we just had a person that we saw do this. There's nothing wrong with running a Kickstarter for an audiobook, okay? Audiobooks are fun. But the minute you say this is an audiobook Kickstarter, a lot of your backers stop looking. Doesn't matter that the books are in there too, that they can go in there and get a book or a trilogy or all your catalog. They saw audiobook, they think, I don't listen to audiobooks, and they move on to the next one on the list. It's not fair, from that point of view. They just didn't, but you marketed that to them. So if you really want to basically cut your success down, run the Kickstarter and just tell them this is for an audiobook. I would say run it for a book, run it for your property, and make an audiobook one of the rewards or a stretch goal. If I get to 3,000, if you want to do an audiobook, let's say it costs you $3,000 to do it. You just know that. So run the campaign. And at $3,000, put a stretch goal. I will make an audiobook that every backer at $20 and up will get for free. And anyone below $20 can buy for $10. You can do that asymmetrical reward levels. And the people who are really backing you hardcore, yeah, then they get the audiobook for free because you hit your $3,000 stretch goal, which was your original desire anyway. So again, you had a plan, you knew what you wanted, but give yourself the most chance for success on something like that. So that's a very weak. It wasn't a weakness of my campaign, but it's a big weakness I see in a lot of campaigns. So so that was a good segue into other campaigns, not just mine. I always try to write down for any campaign 2 or 3 lessons learned. Now, this could be a lesson from a strength of the campaign, like something was amazing, like, I got to repeat that in the future. Sometimes it's a weakness. Most often it's an oops moment. I had one pretty early on this campaign when what was it I did? I had a stretch goal at a very early stretch goal that required feedback from the backer, from you backers, and I didn't think about the fact the early days, those first 2 or 3 stretch goals, fell really fast, and I had no time to engage the community and get that feedback I was hoping to get. So I should have thought and I know that can happen, and I did it anyway. So making sure that if you have a time-sensitive stretch goal or a time-sensitive reward, you need to make sure you are leaving yourself enough room so that the velocity or early velocity doesn't blow past it and ruin the effect you're hoping to get. So that was a lesson learned. And it's a lesson I have to keep learning, because sometimes a campaign can just kind of crawl along, and sometimes it can just spike and then start crawling, or sometimes it just spikes and keeps spiking, and then you're really riding a rocket. So be aware of time-sensitive. Always be wary of time-sensitive events in your campaign. Would be a lesson learned, I think, for me on this one. Another lesson learned I put in here was it's really hard to over-explain stretch goals and rewards. I thought I had had the label everyone. Here's what the best practice guide is going to be like. And this is what the market reports are, and this is what the desktop edition is. I thought I was extremely clear. But then again, I spent weeks planning this campaign in my head. So of course it was clear in my head. But when I came to running the campaign, I should have had a better explanation of the rewards in the body of the story, in the body of the campaign. That would have helped a lot of people understand what I was trying to do, which is here's the basic guide, here's the guide plus market report, here's the guide plus the physical edition. And they didn't always, the market report was only in one reward level. Everyone kept asking, do I get the market reports at this reward level or this one or whatever? I'm like, no, just this one, but you can add on the market reports to any level you want. I did not explain that as well as I should. So again, lesson learned. Always check and make sure that you are getting all, you're being very clear, and over explaining is just hard to do. People want to, especially when they're asking good questions, you realize that, yeah, I missed that one. So that was another lesson learned, which I wrote down and will be applying toward my future campaigns. Let me see if there's anything on here real quick. Have them ready is what you were saying. Dean, I think you're saying having stretch goals ready or having time-sensitive events ready. Anything you plan ahead of time is always going to help you. Having a good, even if you only put 3 or 4 stretch goals on your campaign, having the next 2 or 3 in your pocket, so in case it spikes and you need them faster than you thought, is never a bad thing. Anything that helps you show that you were prepared and thinking about this is good. So yeah, have things ready ahead of time. Have at least 1 or 2 things, that maybe you haven't fully thought out. At least have it, somewhat organized in your head that well, if I spike real fast, I'm going to go over here and play with these stretch goals, or do with Cyril. Yeah, add-on stuff was confusing. Hi Dale, good to see you. Add-ons are a new part of Kickstarter. The reason why they were confusing, Dale, and the reason why I did it the way I did. Normally, here's what I normally would have done: $2 PDF, $7 PDF plus market reports, $15 or $18, whatever the number would magically be, desktop edition plus PDF plus market reports. I always try to build on the previous reward levels. The reason why I didn't do that this time was because Kickstarter had just implemented the add-on page. Before add-ons, you had to do them after the fact and kind of do them kind of kludgy. It was really not, you could do it through the surveys, but it wasn't easy. It was a little shaky. And so I intentionally pulled stuff out of my rewards so I could put them on my add-on page, because I was learning and testing it out as well. And obviously, as I said, I did not do a good enough job explaining everything. So that's why it felt kind of confusing. I was playing with a new Kickstarter feature. Now, I'm glad Kickstarter did that. I think it's great. I just wish that you could go back to it very easily later and toward the end of the campaign go, you know what? I've changed my mind. I want that desktop edition. And you try to look for it. It's not always easy to find. Like, how do I get that add-on page to pop back up? That was a little annoying. Kickstarter will probably fix that somewhere in the future. They're always building on this, but that's why that happened. So again, back to a lesson learned, as well as why did I experiment with it that way? That was why. Let me see here real quick. Lynn Perry, sometimes the tiers, rewards, and stretch goals are just too complicated. Maybe I'm dumb. No, sometimes they're just complicated. Some people love stretch goals and rewards. It makes it feel kind of more fun in their minds, like almost like that auction house feel. Who wants this, and we'll package this in, and wait, there's more. It's just kind of a way to have fun with it in your head. But for some people, that drives them away. So that's why you always got to try to ride that balance. I think 3 stretch goals may be too few. I think 12 stretch goals is definitely too much. In between, it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish and how you are packaging things. A lot of people now are starting to do things like, here's the domestic stretch goals, and then here's the international stretch goals. Because people have been asking me, how do you do international orders? Well, I am trying international orders, not on this Kickstarter because I was wanting to simplify it, but I've tried it on other ones. They're a pain. And I keep experimenting with it, trying to figure it out the best way. And so some people are saying, just pull out international orders and put them in their own stretch goal reward level So that way the international people see which ones apply to them, and they're not trying to add extra shipping or does it apply to me or not. It says right there, international order or domestic order. It's just one more idea. But if you're going to do it, you've got to be extremely clear, extremely clean. So you don't want people getting lost or confused or just fed up and just walking out of your campaign. How are we doing? Hey, we're doing great. Let's see here. Diane, why don't you say hi? I'm launching on Sunday. Yeah, Dean already told you, Diane. Launch on Tuesday. People don't surf Kickstarter as much on the weekends. I know it seems like people have all this free time on the weekend, so of course they're there. But Kickstarter has a decade or more of data that says don't do that. You know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are simply the three best days to launch and complete a Kickstarter because people are just online in the afternoon and evenings during those days. So always try to, and that's in the guide. But if you're about to launch a Kickstarter, I promise you, if you hold it until Tuesday, you will do better. I can just all but guarantee it because everyone does. Now I've kind of run to the end of my lessons learned. Oh, one more lesson learned I put down. This is a good one. AMAs are fun and make good stretch goal rewards. I enjoyed doing these. It makes me feel like I'm doing a convention panel or something without leaving my house. It's great. So to me, I discovered these AMAs are a great fill-in feature. They make good stretch goals. They give me good interaction, and they just give me a lot of energy. I doing this live, I've got just as much chance to face plant as I have of doing something great. And so it makes for a very interesting moment for me. 60 minutes of, can I keep juggling things and not having something land on my head? It might, I don't know yet. We're only halfway through. But so this is good for me. Now, if you don't like being like, if live air streaming kind of like bothers you, then don't do it. You can still do a video, ask for 4 or 5 questions from your backers, record your answer to them in a nice, pleasant video, then upload it. No interaction, no high pressure, no being live. It's still fun. It can still be fun, and you can enjoy it. But you find out what works for you and play with it. This worked for me. I can't imagine doing another campaign where I don't do at least one streaming video now, because Talon kind of taught me how to put all this together, and he's behind the scenes right now making sure I'm recording everything so I can put on YouTube. He's also going to, as I said in the campaign, Talon's going to help by putting together a walkthrough on how to run a live streaming event like an AMA using YouTube. So it wasn't that, I mean, he walked me through it. It just wasn't that hard. But if you walked up to that dashboard without knowing what you're looking for to click on to make this work, it would be intimidating. But once you know, click here, 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 and you're done. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing these. These are fun. So yeah, AMA, ask me anything after market analysis. It means ask me anything, but as obviously this one I'm trying to gear it toward the postmortem on my campaign, which I've kind of wrapped up at this point, unless someone has questions about the campaign itself. Do I have anything on strengths, weaknesses, or lessons learned from my campaign, or did anyone see something in my campaign they would like to call out? Here's where I'm putting it back on you guys, saying, what did I do? Obviously, Dale was confused about add-ons. I'm on board there. What else did I do that was really good, really confusing? Let me know. This is where you would tell me. So let me see what shows up here. Let's give it a few minutes. Stacking tiers versus the add-on feature. Benefits to add-on features versus stacking. So it's a good question. It's a feel for this. I don't think I've got a definitive data one way or another, Dale. But generally, people tend to lock into a reward level that they like for whatever reason. And then even if it's just like, look, for $5 more, you can have that extra item as another reward tier. Still, when they go to the add-on feature, they might go, yeah, it's just another way of saying, are you sure you don't want that item? And they go, no, okay, I'll take it. And then they add it on. Now that's the new way. The old way, and the way you can still do it, you can do both. is toward the end of the campaign, you really promote your add-ons. You promote like, hey, by the way, don't forget, if you go onto my add-on page, you can get 5 novels, my 5 novels for like cost of 3, or you can pick up a trilogy for $5, or whatever it is you're trying to, whatever the great deal you have in your add-ons are. You just promote them and say, hey, is everyone good? You want to add anything else on? Just and toward the end of the campaign, if they've enjoyed the campaign, if they're excited about the campaign, they just might go, you know what? Yeah, this has been kind of fun. It's worth the extra $5, $10, $15. I'm in. And so add-ons are a quick way to make a kind of an upsell, a cross-sell, an upsell toward the end. Don't ever do the high pressure sales gimmick. Give them good deals, but in the end, as long as you're being authentic and showing people, who you are and what they're getting an idea what your writing is like, what your personality is like. If they like you, if they feel you're a good fit for them, then they might throw a few more things in the basket on their way out the door. Which way's better? No, I don't think anyone really knows. They both attract a different type of person. So I know I don't want to add 15 reward levels, but I could easily put 15 novels in an add-on page. People just go, sci-fi, I like that, and I like that. They run on the page, they click them off. So there's a good reason why you would do it differently, because add-ons, you could simply layer them in a lot more. Reward levels, again, 7 or 8 is where I start thinking you've got plenty. I want to go much higher than me personally than 7 or 8 reward levels. So that's one. Let's see. Looking here, no more questions. Come on. So come on, guys. Was there anything else about my campaign, about the best practice campaign? What did you like about it? What did you get annoyed by, other than me sitting up here talking to you? What worked? I mean, this is where I need to know something from you guys. I'm going to give it 3 more minutes, and I'll move on to a new topic. But this is where I'm trying to get some information, some feedback. DJ said, weakness of the AMA, not entering the comments on the posted YT video after the live AMA. That's a really good question, DJ. Not coming back and answering questions that pop up on the YouTube video. That would be something to figure out how I could do that and not forget about it, because once it's on the net, I tend to move on to the next thing. So that's a good question, how I would do that. So I'll look at that. Lynn Perry said updates were good. I tried. I mean, I don't like to do one like, sometimes I don't want to do them every day. I try to do them when it made sense. When a stretch goal fell, or there was something like the video, as a reminder that there was an AMA that night. I try not to overburden your email box. And now the campaign's done, I'll try to keep it down to no more than, less than 1 a week. And that's assuming there's something going on. I want to, keep you guys informed and part of this, but I know how hard it is to get, all this spam mail. We all got too much of it. So I will try not to waste your time. The idea behind updates for me is there's something you really should know or should want to know. I'm not doing them just because I can. Dean, $2 low book feel. You could have gotten $5 just as easier. Do you have a different opinion now? I don't know, Dean. I agree. I'm guessing I got a decent number of people who thought it's just the $2. Even though they wouldn't have paid, did I get people who paid the 2 and wouldn't have paid the 5? I'm sure I did. Would enough people have paid the 5 to not care about the people I lost for just the 2? I'm sure I could have. In fact, I'm sure if I had done that, my guess is for the people with the people I've got right now, I'm betting I still would have done 400 people and probably bet a lot higher profitability. But remember, you and I talked about this too. This wasn't about maximizing profitability. Yes, I wanted to earn something for the 100 hours or so of work I put into this book. I did that. And now it's going to go on Amazon, and I'll make some more. Again, Alexander Pushkin said, write for pleasure, publish for profit. And I did. This was my pandemic project. This is what I did rather than go out to restaurants or go to conventions or movie theaters. I stayed home and wrote this book. So to me, what was important was, even if I lost out on 500, $1,000. But I put this in the hands of 20, 30, 40 more people. Totally worth it. So yes, I could have maximized for profit. Nothing wrong with that. We are publishers. We are business people. We have to be. But it fought my other goal of education. So I'm actually feeling pretty good about exactly where we landed. And now I'll put it on Amazon and charge, $5, $6 for it. Everyone here gets a great deal. And, again, make the market better for all of us. Sailing Master says, know your work for years. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you know my work and you came along for the ride because you trusted me, I guess, because I've been fairly prolific out there and in the industry for quite a long time. That's part of my platform. I have 100,000 people on my mailing list over at Catalyst Game Labs for BattleTech and Shadowrun. Did I tell about my Kickstarter? Sure, I did. Did they come over and look at it? Yeah, maybe. But those people are all about the IPs they enjoy those military sci-fi or dystopian future sci-fi pieces we're doing. They're not right. Most of them aren't writers. So this guide meant, again, that nonfiction guide just didn't do anything for them. I've got a huge platform if I want to do new sci-fi or new fantasy. Great platform for that. And I will use that platform again. I have no doubt. I may never hit the big $1 million prize again. Might not. But it's a platform I can rely on fairly well. Why don't I just do just that? Because that's not what I'm not trying to chase the rainbow here. I want to write what I want to write. In this case, I wanted to write this nonfiction book. And, I had enough of a platform to make it worth my time. And hopefully then that made it worth your time. Let me see what else I have here. What is your preview link to your project? I'll share mine here soon as well. Oh, sorry, that's Lyndon talking to Diane. Yeah, here, guys, help each other out. There is nothing wrong with promoting someone else's Kickstarter on your Kickstarter page. You will almost never lose a backer to another campaign. Almost never. Okay? And if it happens, but they're doing the same for you back, if you guys are doing it back and forth, then why not promote everybody? All right? There is just no downside to all of us maximizing our audience on this platform. It makes it more fun for the readers. And if they're having fun on Kickstarter, they'll come back to Kickstarter over and over again. Okay, this is not a null-sum game. It really isn't. Anyone who says that we are, that I'm your competition is completely flat out wrong. Okay, it's just not true. We are not competition. We are peers, and we can share information. There's nothing wrong with that. How do you find a good book to read? If you are a big Terry Brooks fan and you love Terry Brooks and suddenly you discover Brandon Sanderson, did you stop reading Terry Brooks? No, you're reading both now. Okay. And if Terry Brooks recommends, hey, I really like reading Brandon Sanderson. I don't know if he does. Hi, Terry. If you hear that Terry has a favorite author, are you likely to try that author out? I would. Does that mean I'm going to stop reading Terry Brooks? No. So don't ever think about that as competition. You guys help each other out. If you see something you like on Kickstarter, mention it. It's just that easy. Mention it. Just in an update or in a comment thread or whatever. I'm not saying go hardcore and like, oh, everyone go back to this person. Never go back to this person. Don't go hardcore. Keep it casual. Keep it authentic. Okay, make it something that matters to you. I just saw someone launch a great Kickstarter program last week, which I mentioned in one of my updates, I believe, for a Cthulhu related book. Something about the Backwood Crossroads. Can't remember the title, but I'm a big Cthulhu fan. Remember the Haiku Cthulhu book? See, I love Cthulhu. I love all things of Lovecraftian mythos, and so I backed it and I recommended it because I was wanting to read. I want that to fun because I want to read that book. And the two people running it, I like their campaign. Now they made some big beginner mistakes. In fact, one of my first market reports might actually reference their campaign as to here's all the newbie mistakes these people just made. They're funding now, but I can kind of now go back and go, okay, guys, look at this campaign as a whole. here, look at this, here, this is good, this is not, this is good, this is not, in my opinion, always in my opinion. So I'll be doing a lot of that too. How we doing? Hey, we're doing good still. I love finding projects. Diane, I'm with you. I love finding stuff on Kickstarter. It's just a blast. Let me see here. Sailing Van, I'm a money cook stuff. Yep. There's some great guys. Look, I think I've said it before, and it's in the guide for sure. But you need to also surf other categories besides fiction and publishing. Gaming, tabletop gaming is one of the most liveliest, most awesome networks out there, and they are always pushing the envelope on Kickstarters, and they are now some of the best funding Kickstarters without a doubt. See what they're doing, find out why, but also look at technology, look at design, look at other good stuff. I'm going to post a link to this, but there's one of the gaming publishers, I can't remember who it is, who has a great Kickstarter for Dummies page as well. And I've learned a lot reading his articles he's written. So I'll try to find that link and post that in my updates. But make sure you're looking around at other places. I mean, sure, focus on publishing. That's where we're writers. That's where we should be. But don't be afraid to learn from fashion or technology. They do great stuff over there. Yeah, Judy is what I'm saying. I mean, I learned all my best lessons came from the gaming, from tabletop gaming. Some of my worst mistakes and my biggest successes, that's where I learned them. Now I'm applying them here in publishing and finding out most of this translates, both the good and the bad. So again, just trying to learn it and focus on this to help raise the bar. And see if I missed anything here. Let me give me 1 second to scan this, people. And I'm looking. Is there a sweet spot for number of levels? That would be the pledge levels, I believe. I think I said 3 is too few, 12 is too many. Anywhere in between is fair game, in my opinion. Now, in this case, I ran a very simplified campaign. I think I had 3 levels, not counting. Actually, I didn't have a follow along. I had a 2, 7, and 15. Those are my primary. Those are my 3 stretch goal rewards for this campaign. Then I threw in the completely unnecessary consultation and the totally redundant classes. That was my way of having some fun. Now, are those upper level campaign add-ons worth it? Absolutely. But I was trying to basically let people know, look, again, the whole idea was, if you're gonna try this at all, fine, do as little as possible. I don't mind. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. And you can always come back and do a consultation with me later, or do the teachables classes later. After you've gone through best practices, you will already know so much more. You'll be asking smarter questions. You'll be thinking about things differently. So that was always my plan. Okay, not because I was trying to tell you people I suck at consultations or these teachable classes aren't any good. That is totally not the case. I get consulted on very large Kickstarters quite often. And I'm pretty good at it. And I still make mistakes, but I know what I know where my strengths are. And yeah, I'll still be here. Okay, if you ever think you got a Kickstarter that you think could be a big, could go big, and you want to get a consultation, that's fine. You all have my email now, or go on my campaign and leave me a message on Kickstarter. You'll reach out to me. So that's why I did, I did 3 pledge levels and 2 high level ones. Now, one good question someone always asks me is there such thing as too high of a pledge level? No, not really. In fact, I had one friend of mine, Jordan Weissman, who ran some big Kickstarters, who said if he doesn't create a pledge level that nobody buys, he didn't make one big enough. He always wants to have that one shiny golden temple on the hill level. He works mostly in video games. He always wants that, like, I will fly to your house for dinner and play the game with you, kind of like, craziness. To him, there's never a one that's too big, because some people actually can afford it and want to do those kind of crazy things. But also, it makes everything else just look much more reasonable when he puts those whacked out ones on the top. Okay, so is there a reason not to do it? No. Now, if you're going to do it, make sure it's something that you know something about. Don't just go, oh, I'll fly in and give you a personal writing class. Well, hopefully you give writing classes all the time and you know you're pretty good at it. Or find something else that you do. Okay, I've got a good friend who makes these wonderful little crochet dragons. I just want her to run a Kickstarter for one reason, is that she'll give away these dragons as stretch goal support. I've got one in my office, and it needs like a brother now. So is that anything to do with fiction? No, but if she had a dragon level in her, for her new fantasy trilogy, I would so buy the dragon level because I know what that little thing, how cute that little thing is. So yeah, having extra levels, even ones just for fun, ones that promote almost like a second hobby you have or a second skill set you have, there's no downside. Again, it's because it is you. Like I said, be authentic. If that is one of your things, and Dale, I know you've got other cool hobbies and knowledge bases out there that you could throw in on the side. So I cannot wait to see what you do. It kind of scares me a little bit. So let me see what I have here. Let me see. I'm looking films to fundraise. Yep. Follow creators. Yep, that's a good one, DJ. If you follow Pulse Publishing or Catalyst Game Labs, what happens is every time I back something, you'll get a little email that says, "Hey, Loren Coleman backed this." Does that mean you should back it? Doesn't mean that at all. Should you look at it? If you find out that you and I have similar tastes in fiction, or if you're trying to figure out why I backed it, at least go look at it. You may go, "Oh, I know why Loren backed that," or you might look at it and go, "What's he thinking?" Then you drop me a message. So yeah, never hurts to follow someone if you know they've got a good eye for things. I'm gonna get there in a second. Let me see. I'm at Dean Wesley Smith. Yeah, most people don't think of Kickstarter for fiction. Judy, that's why we're doing this. When they remember, no one for a long time, no one really thought of Kickstarter for games either. Video games, yes, and video games rocked it. And tabletop games slowly clawed their way up. And now tabletop games just rule. Okay, what did that take? About 8 years, and some really good companies who drove a flag really deep into that mountainside. Simon, Cool Mini or Not, and a few others. I'll forget their names of them. But they said, we're going to make Kickstarter the central aspect of our company. And they went after it. And they started running $250,000 campaigns, $500,000 campaigns. That's still possible for us. A brand new person just did an art and fiction book on publishing. First campaign ever. And I think it might have went to $2 million. Definitely went over $1 million. Look up I think this is called The Book. It's like a really cool art book on everything you need to know to rule post-apocalyptic civilization. I backed it. It's awesome. So it's a publishing venture. Did great. So these are possible. Okay. Every time someone does a big campaign, don't think, oh, why did they get that? Celebrate it. Every time someone runs $1 million Kickstarter campaign in publishing, we just got that many more active eyes in our audience for our campaigns. It's great. Talon, who was asking that question about fear? What's that? I'm trying to find the actual reference. I've got a big second question I haven't gotten to, so I'm trying to find the. Oh, I missed that. Hey, Dean. Why do writers have so much fear about Kickstarter? Oh, God, that's a great question. So, most writers are most comfortable sitting in their office by themselves. Going outside, putting ourselves out on stage tends to be a little scary for most of us. I mean, I feed off of this. I enjoy it, but I know in 10 minutes I get to turn this off and go curl up in the corner because I'll be done. So there is that thing about after we create our content, we all want to find an audience, and we all fear rejection. Everyone fears rejection. This is just flat out the way it is. You have to give yourself permission, okay, to try something new. Give yourself permission to that this could be a good new thing. And if you fail, who cares? Who's going to remember tomorrow except for you? Nobody. Okay. And you might find that you've got an audience here. You might find you're really good at this. Um, I think that's what I think it's that fear of rejection, that fear of putting yourself out there on a stage. This is about as on a stage as I get. On a video in the comfort of my own living room, I'm on stage. I got my my root beer. I got all my little security blankets around me, so I'm good. Um, you've got to give yourself permission to try this, and not care if you fail or not. There is, and again, it comes back to, remember, expectations. Why are you running a Kickstarter? If you're running it to test your market, well, even if you only get 3 backers, you tested the market. That's a success. May not be profitable, may not be a financial, commercial success, but that's not why you were running it. You were testing your market. You're testing your platform. If you're trying to do you want to like see what we actually did on a big cross genre. I want to try a military, paranormal, dystopian romance with zombies. Okay, well, put it out there. You may not get any backers, but you may get a lot of feedback as to why that's a brilliant or not so brilliant idea. What are your expectations? Why are you running your campaign? If it's all about commercial success, okay. In that case, it's a yes or no. Did it fund or did it not fund? Do you need to reach a certain level? Do you care if you only get $50, $500? Does it matter? Um, it all depends. Are you going to tell Amazon, I'll put my book on Kindle if you can guarantee me $1,000? No one's going to do that to Amazon, and Amazon would laugh at you if you tried. So we're back to, even if you're looking at this as a commercial venture, what is so different about running a short-term 21, 30-day campaign on Kickstarter or putting yourself on Kindle for the next 2 years? Okay. Kickstarter pours gasoline on your platform. It brings people to you you would not have gotten yourself anyway. So if you run that from the point of view of, I want to know, I want to try, I want to experiment, you've already succeeded. You don't have to be afraid of it. Fear is a big thing. We're going to talk. I'm probably going to dedicate a market report topic to the subject of fear, because I get that question a lot, or some version of that question a lot. Talon, how are we doing on questions here? What do I got? A lot of comments. Okay. Um, Let me look here real quick. I see we're starting to lose some people now. I've lost 3 or 4 in the last few minutes, so I think people realize we are starting to go downhill now. We got 10 more minutes. I'll take questions on anything at this point. As I look through the features here, if any more questions I want to answer. Diane, my success goal is to find readers and fans. Then you cannot lose. Whether you get 1 new fan or 10 or 100, you can't lose with that kind of an attitude. Someone I really respect recently told me, if you're going to run a Kickstarter, make it a number that's worthwhile. And I said, well, what's worthwhile? And for them, well, at least $5,000. But that's worthwhile to them. If I would have had that attitude on best practices, I wouldn't have made it. I would have fallen a little short, and this would not have happened. For me, worthwhile was $500 to $1,000. I thought I'd get there no problem, and a lot of people involved. So again, if you know your platform, have your expectations of where you are in your career, set that number. One of the stories I tell in best practices, the person who started this whole thing was this wonderful woman who was writing these little story collections. She was on her second one, and I saw she asked for like $600 or $800, something small. And I tried to figure out why she was asking for so little on her second campaign. She wasn't even trying to push her boundaries yet. And I thought about that, and I did the math and realized that this was one market she was experimenting with. And at the end of her second campaign, she finished right about where her first campaign finished. And if you did the math on that, she made, for her like 35,000 word story collection, she made about 6 cents a word, or roughly right about what she would have gotten selling to the Dell magazines as a new writer, give or take a penny maybe. But it was right in that ballpark. So, which means she sold 35,000 words at almost at Dell magazine rates for one market. Why was I, I was dissing this person who obviously had her business. She knew what she could, she knew what she could do. She knew what she could make. And then she went to put those collections on Amazon and other platforms. What was wrong with that for her? Nothing, not a thing. She understood her business model. She understood her expectations, and she marketed exactly to where she wanted to go. And that's when I realized that I was thinking, I had to adjust my thinking a bit about Kickstarter and realize it is a market. It's not just about projects or about making the big score. That's what made me think about treating this like I treat Amazon, like I treat BarnesandNoble.com. That we can still do well here, even just it's just for like a short 30-day window. Let me see here. Any more questions? How do you know if you have enough? Karen, hi Karen. How do you know if you have enough of a base to do a Kickstarter? Karen, it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is you think it's not worth your time, if you can't make $1,000, do the math on that. If you're offering a $15 trade paperback and no hardback, and a $5, $10 PDF, you kind of split, assume, 2 to 1, for every 2 PDFs, you'll sell maybe 1 trade paperback, maybe. So it averages out about, maybe $10, $12 a person. You need, 100 people. Do you think, can you bring 100 people to the Kickstarter? Do you have a couple hundred on your mailing list? Do you sell, do you do pretty well on Amazon right now? Are you selling on Amazon? Are you getting people that are following you? Can you reach out to those people? Do you have a big Facebook following? Nothing wrong with Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or TikTok. If you have any social media following at all, I think $1,000 is doable. If it's your first one, I would say maybe cut it down to 750, 500, just to, again, if you don't have to reach a magic number, but what platform is too small? Nothing. There's no such thing, in my opinion. Kickstarter brings thousands of people. You have to you are on a bookshelf now, just like you publish your brand new book and it's on the shelf at Barnes and Noble. 10,000 people are going to walk into that store this year. Why are they going to choose your book? The title, the cover, the blurb, your marketing. Okay, the whatever you can do for marketing. It's the same idea. Only you've got a very short window to do it in, but only 50 people can get you to 500 to 1,000 to a couple $1,000 pretty fast. If you're selling a $40 signed hardback and a map of the realm and other fun stuff, if you do that kind of thing, you could do pretty well. I've seen a lot of people do like these $100, $80, $50, $80, $100 packages, and some readers buy them. Okay, it all comes down to your expectation and just trying it out, and you're going to learn. Okay, you're going to get better at it, and you're going to have fun with it, and that's why I say there is nothing too small, and there's no market too large for a Kickstarter. Not that anyone's found yet. Let me see. We're at. What's that? Which one? Which one? Oh, all right. Let's see what DJ has here. I'm sure there's lots of new and not yet published authors with virtually none or few followers. Should a writer run a Kickstarter campaign with virtually no online platform? They may have a website, but almost nothing on Facebook, Twitter. Should they invest the time in growing their platform first? Okay, DJ, here's the misconception I think you have. Running a Kickstarter is a step toward building a platform. Now, is it the most efficient step you have in front of you? I don't know. You may not have a lot of you may live a very rural community with not a lot of stuff going on to where you can't get out there and network and promote as much as I can here in Tacoma, or having my other companies I can market to. Okay, running a Kickstarter is building your platform. Now, is it going to be a huge success, a really big out the gate success? I don't know. Again, go look at that $1 million campaign run by that artist / author who did this really cool fiction and art book. Okay, he really went for it, and it was a beautiful campaign. And he spent money on marketing, and he really promoted the heck out of it, and he did pretty good for a first timer. Now, again, he probably had some more social media platform than I'm aware of, and I know he did a lot of social media market purchasing, ad purchasing, but that's something he treated this as a business plan, and he had a plan for sure going into this. You can see it right down the lane. So yeah, I mean, is it worth it? I can't answer that question for you. I can answer it for me. I ran my first campaign, in 2011. What? Talon? 15. I ran one before that. You're looking at Redshift. So is it worth it? I don't know. You just can't answer that yourself. You have to answer that for yourself. Do you have a better way to go out and get 10, 20, 30, 40 people before you come to Kickstarter? Then go do that. If you're going to go to some conventions, you're going to sit on. If you're doing panels at conventions once life returns to normal, sure, maybe go to a couple conventions, pitch your website, get people with give them your business card, give them your links, and then run a campaign. If you've got, again, go to where you can gather a platform. If you've got nowhere else to gather one, why not try gathering one on Kickstarter? Okay. Most writers don't have other friends who are writers, and again, work together. Approach it as a team effort, because again, we're not competition. There's no reason why we can't all support each other. I hope, DJ, did that answer your question? Dean, do you think I answered that question well enough? Do you want to add something that I'll read it off the list? Because that's my opinion. It's like, just no reason not to always be trying to build your career, build your audience. Never a reason not to. And let's see here. Your cover, your sales copy. Yeah, so exactly what Dean is saying, DJ. It depends on how big is your idea. Not to make fun of anyone writing anything. If you're doing small little like mystery cozies set in the Oregon coast where no one may know, if you like these small stories, which I read all the time, it may be harder to initially get some. Again, how do you jump off the bookshelf? Okay, if you're not telling Dan Brown or Stephen King's like big giant stories, yeah, it's harder. But it also means you shouldn't be expecting 5,000 people to show up tomorrow. You're hoping for 50, 25, 50, 100. That's a good Kickstarter. If you do the math, there's nothing wrong with that as a market. That's a nice little boost before you go to Amazon and put it up on Kindle publishing. So again, it all comes down to, can you get their attention? Can you keep their attention? Can you build a campaign? Even if I want to write a little cozy mystery series about the Roman Empire. I kind of like that idea now. Can I hold your attention in my video, in my campaign setting? Can I find those people that will stop and read that go, I would like to read about a Roman Empire cozy. I think I just invented a new genre. Anyway, what do I got here? And I think, Talon, I got any more questions? I think I'm about, unless I missed one. I think I got to a lot of this, and we just hit our hour, but I still have 17 people here. So if people aren't going to bail out right away, I'll answer a few more questions before I turn into a pumpkin. Anyone? Talon, what do you got? What do I got? Nothing? I'm out clean? Okay. Dale, great advice to Karen. Do you have a newsletter? Do you have subscribers? Yeah. You can hey, cats are great on the internet. I think there's nothing you can't do. If you got nothing else, throw a cat in your book and put it on the cover on Kickstarter. Why not? I don't know. All right. I guess I'm. What's that? Final thoughts. This whole thing started on the postmortem of the best practices campaign. I went over what I thought my perceived strengths were, and I think most of my strengths were answered in the positive. I knew my weaknesses going in, and one of them I figured out a way to do it. One of them I need to go back and figure out again because it didn't work. I will try it again until it works. Lessons learned: hard to over-explain. If something is time sensitive, be extremely wary about it in the early days of the campaign, because you may not find you have the time you thought you would have. And my best lesson learned is AMAs are fun. I've enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful. I think it is, or people would have bailed out a lot sooner. And yeah, I guess that's it. I will put this link up in case you missed anything or you came in late. I'll put the link up to this live video or to this video on the Kickstarter. And I may run one more of these. In fact, I think I promised to run one more for our European friends. And so I think maybe next week I'm going to try to run a Saturday morning AMA. If you want to come back in, ask more questions, even though I'm running it for mostly for the EU backers, I'm sure they are not going to complain about having good questions being asked in the AMA I will run for them. So thank you all for being here and for doing this and for hanging out. And yeah, drop me a message through the Kickstarter messaging platform. Drop Dean a message on the Teachables website. And thank you. I cannot wait to see what you guys do. It's going to be a blast. All right. All right. Thank you.